reside, cracking codes to flip the tide. Zeros and ones on battle cry. System fall, we watch them die. Hack-Attack, no turning back. Red meets blue in the cyber attack. Firewall burns, the signals cracked. Hack-Attack, yeah.
Ever stroll up to an ATM at midnight, fluorescent lights humming like a bad sci-fi set, and think, this machine's lived harder than a casino blackjack table? Welcome to the seedy underbelly of ATM skimming, where the hustle isn't just local, it's global, industrial grade, and silently draining bank accounts one clueless swipe at a time. Skimming, shimming, fancy tech jargon for hand over your digits and watch your balance do a disappearing act. Let's clear the fog. Skimming is when someone sticks a sneaky little gadget, maybe over the card slot, maybe shoved inside, onto an ATM or gas pump. That's your overlay skimmer. It just sits there like a bad rug, waiting to slurp up every mag stripe that dares to pass through. Then there's shimming, the overlay's stealthy, quieter sibling. A shimmer wiggles its way right into the chip reader slot, going after those so-called secure EMV chips. Both are slick forms of high-tech wallet snatching. One's lurking on the outside, and the other's blending in like a secret agent. The FBI says this little nightmare is costing both banks and regular folks over $1 billion a year. Yep, that's billion with a B. And no, it's not just some clickbait headline to scare you. Things are getting uglier. FICO reports that the number of compromised debit cards nearly doubled in just 1 year. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are getting hit, often blissfully unaware until their bank balance gives them the financial equivalent of, "You've got to be kidding me." I'll never forget my first red team job. It was like walking into a spy movie, except the villain was an ATM at a convenience store. It looked so legit you'd think it was about to offer cashback rewards, but nope, the slot gave it away. There was this overlay device, chunky like it had been bulking up at the gym, with plastic edges that screamed DIY project. I almost missed it though, because even when you know what to look for, these things are sneaky. They mimic logos and colors so well you'd think they were handcrafted by a perfectionist scam artist. But the giveaways, a tiny wobble here, a slightly off shade there, maybe if the scam gods smiled upon you, a little glue residue. That device didn't just make me paranoid. It made me a full-time wobble inspector for life. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm way too sharp for that, trust me, the scam works because it dupes everyone, even the pros who test security for a living. These days, crooks don't even bother hanging around to grab the loot. They'll snatch your digits right out of thin air. No shady character lurking in the lobby necessary. Time to crack open the toolbox. Overlay skimmers, as I've mentioned, are sneaky little gadgets that clip right onto a slot, lurking where people swipe those old-school mag-stripe cards. They love hanging out at public ATMs, vintage gas pumps, and clueless POS terminals. Some of these crafty overlays even target EBT cards. Those poor chipless souls are like sitting ducks, just waiting to be skimmed. Shimmers are like the ninjas of the scamming world. They slip right into the chip reader, stealthily snatching EMV data without breaking a sweat. Spotting one is like finding Waldo in a room full of stripes. Even the pros need a magnifying glass and a stroke of luck. These sneaky gadgets have type welfare cards, chip cards, prepaid cards, basically anything that can be turned into cold, hard cash, swapped like baseball cards, or cloned into an army of evil twins. That's ancient history. These days you've got Bluetooth skimmers and all kinds of sneaky wireless gizmos. Tiny 3D printed contraptions that can beam your data right into the hands of some guy chilling in a car outside. You stroll in, handle your business, stroll out. Meanwhile, someone in the parking lot is happily Bluetoothing away your entire paycheck. Sure, there are anti-skimming techs with fancy frequency jammers to mess up the wireless signals so skimmers can't lock onto you, but let's face it, the crooks just whip out their own $200 gadgets to see if a machine's protected, and if it is, they shrug and move on to the next victim. Classic. A sneaky new menace is lurking. NFC sniffers. Picture this. A thief with a bargain bin Android phone in NFC reader mode casually bumps into you on the subway and voila, your tap-to-pay card spills the beans. Card number, expiration date, maybe even some juicy transaction gossip. Or how about a rogue food truck? You tap your card on what looks like a square reader, but it's actually a devious doppelganger, logging every tap like a nosy neighbor. No receipt, no proof, just you, a baffled expression, and an empty wallet. What a day. Here's the deal. If it's wireless, assume it's got more leaks than a rusty bucket. If it's battery-powered and not bolted down, treat it like a rebel without a cause. Keep your cards spread out like you're playing poker with fate, and always snag a receipt, even if the vendor looks like they might vanish into thin air. Tokenized mobile pay? Now that's the kind of shield even a knight would envy. Oh, you thought the biggest danger was some wiry teenager jamming gadgets into card readers. Please, let's zoom out. Take Des Moines, for instance. More than 20 grand evaporated in a single smash-and-grab spree, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. 10 ATMs, one city, and a summer well spent by a few local crews who probably perfected their techniques from, you guessed it, YouTube tutorials. Yeah. Oh, YouTube. As if the algorithm wasn't already your arch nemesis. Now it's moonlighting as a criminal mastermind's mentor. Got some free time and a thirst for chaos. Learn to crack open ATM safes or bypass locks like it's a home improvement project. With video tutorials, the era of gatekeeping is over. Security is just a flimsy shackle here, a wobbly latch there, and bam, you're in. Some aspiring rogues even get schooled on which alarms play nice with which sensors, and how to sniff out anti-skimming gadgets before they even break a sweat. Bravo, Internet, bravo. And here's where it gets wild. Organized crime. A significant slice of the skimming game in the U.S., especially the high-stakes jackpots, belongs to Romanian crews zipping up and down California, bouncing through St. Louis, and cruising along the East Coast. The FBI's been hard at work rounding up these squads, but it's like playing whack-a-mole at an arcade. For every half dozen crooks they nab, 3 more are out there, slapping overlays on fresh ATMs or crafting fake IDs like they're Picasso with a laminator. Let's not overlook the fact that EBT card skimming isn't just some random act of mischief. Entire criminal syndicates set their alarms for public benefit payday, swoop in before dawn, and leave accounts emptier than a vending machine after a hurricane. And when states finally get around to slapping chips on those cards, if that ever becomes a thing, you know these masterminds will just pivot like it's a twisted game of Innovation Olympics. It's basically crime as a subscription service. So, you're outsmarting the scam, huh? Here's the cheat sheet. Check the card slot if it's wobbly, the wrong color, or looks like it got a glue gun makeover. Just bail. And that keypad. If it's shaped funny, colored weird, or screams DIY project gone wrong, it might be recording your every move. Trust it as much as you'd trust a raccoon with your lunch. Always cover your pin, no exceptions. Haven't you heard your inner paranoia whispering about how cameras are practically microscopic these days? Thieves don't need your face, they just need a clear view of those dancing fingers. Sure, you might look like a total dweeb shielding the keypad with your hand, but trust me, nothing screams dork louder than explaining to your landlord why your rent money vanished into the void of a cloned card. Step inside and stick to monitored or bank-affiliated ATMs instead of those shady ones lurking at gas stations or convenience stores. If your phone's Bluetooth starts throwing a party with mysterious devices nearby, consider it a not-so-subtle warning sign. And hey, if you fancy a life on the edge, there are security apps that can sniff out rogue signals, because who doesn't love a little tech drama with their financial transactions? If your card gets skimmed, it's time to channel your inner action hero. Shut down your accounts, freeze those cards, and call your bank like you're defusing a bomb. Speed is the name of the game. Get those credit alerts going if you haven't already, and keep an eagle eye on your purchase notifications. With credit cards, you at least have some ammunition to fight back against bogus charges, but if it's EBT, well, buckle up. Because that's a slow-motion disaster. Reimbursement might take weeks, if they even bother. And finally, trust your gut. If a machine or a person gives you the heebie-jeebies, even if it's just your inner hacker's spidey sense, ditch the deal, sound the alarm, or make a dramatic exit. There's absolutely no shame in abandoning convenience at the door if it means keeping your precious data safe and sound. States are frantically trying to patch up the leaky ship that is Bitcoin ATMs. Regulations are tightening, deposit limits are slapped on, and oversight is getting a serious upgrade. All because scammers seem to have an insatiable sweet tooth for crypto. But just when one loophole gets sealed, criminals waltz over to the next flimsy spot. It's like a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole in the never-ending digital arms race. Sure, chips and contactless payments crank up the safety dial with their flashy tokenization and dynamic authentication, but the heist is far from over. Crafty criminal masterminds just pivot to whichever tech is still fumbling with its shoelaces. Meanwhile, EBT users, vulnerable, underprotected, and basically walking bullseyes, keep taking the hits. Grim outlook? You bet. Unless, of course, you start treating paranoia like a trusty sidekick instead of a glitch in the Matrix. Welcome to the world of bunker hacker philosophy, where paranoia isn't a bug, it's an upgrade. Your only weapon against the next scammer, the sneaky overlay, or the Bluetooth bandit with a PhD in skullduggery is constant vigilance. Learn to love discomfort like it's your new best friend because your threat model. It's all that stands between you and the digital equivalent of being pickpocketed by a ghost. Yes, that wraps up this Hak-Attack. Next time, we'll dive headfirst into countermeasures, the epic showdown of red versus blue, and the cultural quirks behind every sneaky exploit. Until then, keep your paranoia cranked, your trust on lockdown, and whatever you do, don't get too cozy. Over and out.
The whispers, a data stream, codes the canvas, paint the scheme. We're the ghosts inside the machine. Nothing's safe, not even your dream.